Hey everybody. Yeah, it's Kandyrew there, you know.
I can just smell the enthusiasm.
Yeah, can't you? Can't you? That's your gamer tag, Kandyrew, right?
Yes.
Okay, now
Yes.
did that come before? Well, that came after you started doing YouTube content, correct? Because your YouTube
Yeah.
content was based on your gaming, correct?
Yeah. So the name Kandyrew has been around yeah, it's been around for a while. I think I was like 17 or 18, sitting in my ex's house. I think I remember. I was trying to like come up with a new screen name that I could just use everywhere. Like just something that no one else has ever used. I was like, I just need one screen name that I can use for, my email, my video games, just like what, like, you know what I mean? Like, basically coming up with like an identity for online stuff. And it's based off my real name. My real name is Andrew.
Okay.
And so kind of worked backwards from there. And I just came
Right.
up with it. So since then, I found out that there's actually a fish called the Kandyrew. It's not spelled the same way, but it's like this fish that like is in the Amazon, and it's attracted to the ammonia in urine. So like if you pee,
It's
in
not
the
that
Amazon,
fish, is it?
it is.
It's that fish?
It swims into your urethra.
I didn't know it was called a Kandyrew.
It's called the Kandyrew. I don't know how it's spelled, but yeah, I saw it on the show River Monsters with Jerry Wade. And there's no relation. It wasn't like I was inspired somehow.
Wait a
Or anything.
minute. Swims up your urethra. Oh, I will be Kandyrew from now on.
That's so me. Definitely encapsulates me, my essence.
Well, you do stream, and you
I
know,
don't know if anyone's urethra. So.
urine stream, and then so you are
Your
attracted
mental
to the
urethra.
yes,
Yeah.
you're attracted to the mental ammonia of Twitch's stream, and you swim right up in it. And
Right.
I've lost half of my viewers making that making
Yeah.
the comment. I should have never
Perfect.
gone there. Yeah, I know. That's how you do that. All right. So all right. Yeah, I will just unhear all of that, and we'll just
We'll
pretend.
work backwards. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll pretend. I'll edit that out. Probably not. That's good content right there, ladies and gentlemen. Pre YouTube content creator, what exactly was your life, and how did you end up on YouTube?
Ooh. How far back are we talking about? Because I started when I was 25.
I don't know.
So give me an age. Or should I start all the way back?
Conception. I mean, I'm here for the whole thing. Lay it on me.
Let's see. So, goes without saying, I'm Asian, so I think my childhood, I was raised by a very strict Asian traditional mom, Asian parenting kind of thing.
Okay.
So my mom always, I don't know, I mean, maybe you had a similar experience, but my mom always wanted me to like go to school, become like a doctor or professional of some sort. Yeah, that didn't happen. But basically, like, I went to college for molecular and cellular biology, was, getting ready to go to dental school and stuff like that, like kind of jumping through all the hoops. But I never really had a chance to like think about what I really wanted to do with my life. Everyone always talks about like, oh man, like what is your passion and stuff like that. And I think when I was like 17 or 18 and maybe even 20, like I didn't know, like, you know what I mean? Like
Uh-huh.
I was just kind of like, okay, I'll just go to med school or go to dental school or whatever.
Right.
When I graduated, I moved out with my then girlfriend, now wife, to New York, and there's all different walks of life out here, and people making a living off of many different things, and so yeah, kind of like I guess that distance kind of made me kind of not consider dental school anymore as much. Yeah, do I really want to go back to school and spend like my 20s in school and studying and stuff? So I was kind of, I don't want to say I was lost, but like I definitely didn't know what to do for like a good 4 years when I graduated. So I don't know. I mean, like it was definitely a terrifying. And honestly, I think a lot of I don't want to say young people because I don't know if this is true with women, but from what I've seen is like a lot of young men go through this in their early 20s where like they kind of graduate from college and they just don't know what the fuck to do. I don't know why it's always men that I hear these stories from. Maybe happens with women too, but I don't know. I think it's something that's not uncommon for a lot of folks. So basically, I worked at at a law firm that we were suing. We were suing some drug company for a drug that might cause, cancer. I did a bunch of different jobs. That was my first one in New York. And I made like $15 an hour, or maybe it was like 30. It was like really low. I think it was 15, like $15 an hour. I mean, it was a fine job. It was just like a normal everyday office job and stuff like that, and very, very day to day. But I always felt like I wanted to do something else. Like, obviously there's got to be more to life than this. And so, I mean, everybody in the law firm was kind of miserable,
That happens.
They looked dead inside. Yeah. So anyway, when I was, so this is kind of coming back though. So like when I was 20, so like me working in a law firm, that was like 22. When I was 20, I had worked at a high-end resort with like, a bunch of wealthy, famous people would go there to like either stay or just relax, unplug and stuff. And the job I had was just being a cafe person, and I actually ended up making a lot of friends with a lot of wealthy, influential people, maybe less famous and more just like businessmen and kind of people who kind of, were entrepreneurs. And one of them, it was the ex-manager for Aerosmith back in the 80s. And I would consider him to this day a really good friend. And at the time, I really looked up to him, and I still do. But he was like my mentor. And so like fast forward to when I was working at the law firm, I was like, dude, I don't feel like working for the rest of my life. I really want to figure out what I want to do. So I hit my my buddy up, and I was like, yo, like, I know you just fired your assistant. I see you're in town in New York. Let's meet up, because I would love a position, working for you, and just like to learn from you and stuff. And so I worked for him for a couple of years, and he really encouraged me to like figure out what I want to do with my life. And I don't know. It was kind of a I don't know. It was a time during my life where like I worked really hard. I learned a lot. It wasn't easy. There was a lot of I don't want to call it drama, but like just sort of like, when you're someone's personal assistant, you're very close to them, and there's a lot of trying times that how to navigate and do my job well. At the same time, there was a lot of guidance that he offered me, and maybe nothing concrete like, hey, you should try this, but just sort of like coaxing me to like open my mindset to like exploring things. You know what I mean? I started just one day, just like I was playing this video game called PlanetSide 2, which is like an open world first person shooter. And I got pretty decent at it, so I figured maybe one day, just why not just make a video about it. And so that's kind of how it all started. There's a few things that kind of happened along the way. I guess we can kind of go into that more. But yeah, I mean, that's basically the beginning. Was basically I just kind of started it on a whim, kind of. Not really. I mean, kind of. It was like I wanted a project to work on. You know what I mean? So it's very intentional. Like, hey, this is something I want to do.
You're breaking free of the constraints that are both, sometimes you get them from family expectations. Right. You get cultural and societal constraints. This is what you're expected to do. Right. And it's possible that guys go through this more because maybe in our culture, guys are still expected to be breadwinners more than women are. But that is changing. But it could be that the more you're expected to be a breadwinner, if you're slotted into that cultural expectation, the more people are going to say you need to get a reputable profession. Right. Or
a degree. Or
a degree. I had 15 jobs in my life before I settled on show business. And that's starting from my first job at a McDonald's to my last job when I was about 26. And I ate a lot of sand. I didn't make very much money for a while. And then I did, but I refused to do something I hated. I just refused. It happens. Some people have an amazing capacity to take a lot of crap because they need the paycheck.
Yeah, I mean, I think for a lot of people, it becomes their normal. And I think people can tolerate the human beings in general can tolerate a lot. You know what I mean? Like once they kind of get used to it.
My YouTube in the beginning was basically all my voiceover stuff. 2 years ago, I had 26 subscribers. on YouTube. I would get a video and I'd get like 50 views and I'd think, yeah, all right, that's not bad. That's double my subs. And I thought, hey, YouTube lets you monetize. What do I have to get for monetizing? And they told you what the terms were, and I thought, I'm never going to get that.
That's new, though. That's new. They didn't always have that.
Yeah, they changed that in the last year or so, didn't they?
Yeah. When I first started, I could monetize right away, and it was freaking great. I mean, it wasn't very much, right? It wasn't like I was making hundreds of dollars when I first started. It was like 10 cents, or 50 cents,
Right.
But like it was less about the money and more about like the it was just cool, like the encouragement, like hypes me up. It wasn't even the check. It was like in the analytics, it was like just 10 cents popped up in the little.
Oh yeah.
YouTube. So they couldn't even issue the check because it wasn't over the threshold, whatever it was, $400 or whatever it was,
Right.
It's like a micro cent.
Yeah. In your case, how long did it take you before you felt like maybe I can start thinking about not having a day job?
Ooh. That's an interesting one because it's like, so I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And there's been many times when I just wanted to quit and just do this full time. But I kind of did something risky. I think a lot of people, they blow up on YouTube and they're like, oh, if I can finally quit, if I hit this number of, whatever. But for me, it was kind of a risk because my channel was actually kind of dead before Apex. Like, I did Overwatch videos for a couple of years, and I think one of the hardest things in this career, I don't know, everyone says it's really hard to grow a channel, but I think one of the hardest things is like maintaining a channel, like keeping it up and like having people interested, because like it was very frustrating to see like my numbers, my viewership just plummet over the course of some months.
Right.
To the point where I was getting like maybe 3,000 to 4,000 views, and which may sound good, but like I had like 100,000 subscribers at that point.
Really?
Yeah, it was really fucking shit, man. Like it was really bad. Like every day, like it was such a grind to like wake up and make videos when I know it would be a failure.
What would you consider a failure? Like you had a certain set of expectations.
Yeah, well, like I would hope that I would be like I don't know, when my channel was doing well on Overwatch, I would hope that it would hit at least 10,000 or even 20,000 views. But
right.
When it's hitting like 3% of your subscriber base, I mean that's when it's like, okay, what's going on, right?
Well, that's my question too, is because I'm in the same boat. I mean, I guess every YouTube content creator is in that boat. I have X for subs. So I should get at least a fraction of X or better, unless, of course, it trips an algorithm and goes viral. So, yeah, are you able to use your analytics to figure out perhaps why some videos don't land, or is it just unpredictable?
So here's the thing with that. I used to be really, like, I used to care a lot about that ratio, but nowadays I'm less pressed about it.
Okay.
Because I think... No, like subs, I hate to say it, but like YouTube, like doesn't really, like how YouTube is set up, I feel like subs don't even really matter. So if you go into your YouTube app, right? Like
yeah.
You go to the home page and then you see like the different tabs, and most, like I want to say like 9 times out of 10, most people don't even see the subscription tab right here. You see that in the middle? Mm-hmm. That's a button for subscriptions. Like no one ever clicks that. Everyone browses on the home button.
Right.
You see that on that side.
Yeah.
So basically when someone just logs on to watch YouTube, whether they're a sub or not, their watching behavior is based off of their homepage.
Okay.
Right? Which is totally algorithm based. 9 times out of 10, people don't even know that sub tab even exists. Like no one even checks in that freaking corner. So that's why I'm just sort of like, does the sub count even really matter? So I started shifting my focus. I started caring less about like how many of my subs are coming back and checking that tab, and more about like how can I get the algorithm to push me onto people's homepages.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that way it's in their face whether they're a sub or not. You know what I mean?
Right.
As opposed to just kind of floating around in this corner of the YouTube app that no one ever really checks anyways. So I mean, some people do, but like 9 times out of 10, whenever I ask people this shit, like people are like, oh, I didn't know that existed.
Well, I feel like if you have a certain number of subs, like let's say you have 100,000 subs, a certain
Right.
percentage of them choose to get notified when you do post a video.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if you get that number big enough, it will pay off. I feel like I have to figure out two algorithms. One is for Twitch and one is for YouTube.
I feel like Twitch. I don't know. I'm sure it has an algorithm, but I don't. I think discoverability for Twitch streamers is really, really not great. Like I feel like YouTube, as much as people like to shit on the algorithm and talk about how awful the algorithm is, it's still an algorithm and it can work in your favor. Twitch, I feel like they only organize it based on view count. I mean, there is recommended channels on the left hand side, but like, I don't know. I just think I think YouTube is a little bit easier to break out in.
I agree also because Twitch is live. And so if it doesn't happen on your stream, it's you don't get a chance to make something happen for it later. I mean, people,
Right.
I've noticed at least, people don't tend to discover my Twitch streams after the fact. They will get some views, but they can discover my YouTube videos weeks, months after I've put them up. And I like that I have much more control creatively over what I put up there. So
Right,
it's,
yeah.
yeah.
YouTube always made more sense to me. I mean, I think we talked about a little bit about it earlier, but it's like with YouTube, you invest X amount of hours into making a video, but that multiplies every time someone watches it, you know, and they can watch it anytime, whenever
Right.
they want. But
Right.
with Twitch, it's like you put in, you know, say X% of your energy. That's a very one-to-one ratio with how someone can consume your content. I mean, sure, there are VODs, but like really when people are watching Twitch, they're watching for that interaction with the streamer,
Yeah.
live content. And so it's a very one-to-one transference. Whereas with YouTube, sure, you don't get that interaction, but you know, at least your efforts are getting like literally multiplied every time someone watches that video forever.
It's interesting because I had Brian and Amelia on here last week from Descartes Games. And their position on YouTube is we use that to put our VODs up after we're done with our stream. It's basically an archive for them. But they put all their effort into their stream because they are super into the interaction with their stream and into the experience of playing a game. And they don't spend, because I even told Brian, I said, well, yeah, you could edit your videos into smaller clips and use that as promotion. And he goes, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, he just... They have decided what they're going to do with their time. Whereas in your case, you are putting a maximum effort into creating content for YouTube off your stream. And the stream for you is something that is obviously important, but it doesn't get the same number of hours each week, I would think. At least not after the fact, you know, that you put into YouTube.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for me, I mean, maybe I'm a bit of an introvert or something, but like, I feel like one-to-one interaction is great, but I do get kind of worn out and exhausted from, like, it's literally a grind. Like, a lot of these streamers grind for, like, stream for, like, 8 hours at a time. I only do, like, 4 to 6-ish. But I find it really, really tiring to do Twitch. I'm not saying I don't enjoy it. Obviously, I do enjoy it, but it's just, like, for me, I mean, sometimes I just, like, would rather play without being live with my friends. We'll laugh, we'll have a good time. I'll record that, edit on my own time, and put out the video in a nice packaged form. But with Twitch, it's like you're kind of locked down, right? Like when I stream, like I have to make sure I eat, I have to make sure I poop, like get everything out.
Yeah.
Make sure I gotta get my water. Gotta say, you know, goodbye to the wife, and you know, it's like there's a whole process because like once you're sitting down, like you're locked down for like a good 5, 6, 7 hours, however long.
It's like getting locked into a space capsule and launched into a low orbit.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys when I get back. Do you have all your dry goods to consume? Do you have everything else? Yeah, I'll see you in a few hours. I'm going to go to the dark side of the moon now.
Yeah, that's basically how it is. But with YouTube, it's like, you know, like I can record for an hour here, an hour there. I can get up to use the bathroom and take my time. I can go grab a snack. I can, you know, edit, you know, maybe 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night. You know, or if my wife wants to get lunch, I'm not like, oh shit, I have to end my stream. I can be like, oh, I can just put down my editing and just pick it back up when I get home. Like it's not that big of a deal. So I don't know. For me, I mean, I know all the kids these days they want to be Twitch streamers. How do I get big on Twitch? But I'm like, oh man, like for me, YouTube just makes so much more sense. There was this video that was posted by Alpha Shoots. Hold up, let me look this up real quick. Alpha.
Sure.
His name is Harris Teller.
Okay.
And he Alpha Gaming. So Harris Teller is like the guru. Sorry, I just pulled up one of his videos. Is like the guru of Twitch streaming, right? So he's got like all these tutorials and stuff like that. But anyways, one interesting video that he did was talking about like the future of Twitch and how, I forget the exact numbers, but it was like there's literally too many Twitch streamers. Like the number of viewers per Twitch streamer is decreasing since 2014.
Really?
So yeah, it's like there's less viewers to go around because the number of people starting up a stream is outpacing the rate at which new viewers are coming on. So it's like it's becoming a smaller and smaller pond that, you know. So I don't know. I mean, I'm obviously paraphrasing here, and this is just one guy's study or whatever, but it makes a lot of sense to me. Like, you know, people can't watch, I mean, maybe some people can watch 2 streams at once, but like with YouTube, people can watch like 5 videos in a session. With streams, it's like they can really only watch conceivably maybe like 1 at a time. Sure, maybe they can stream hop to like maybe 3 different streamers, but like that view only counts for I think only 1 streamer. So
I would be interested to see the amount of time the average streamer spends relative to their age. And as you start to get up in age, you see an inverse amount of time on the stream.
You mean
because
the viewers?
No, I would say the streamer. I would say your average streamer who's maybe 22 can probably go for 8 hours and barely feel it. Whereas I'm 50. I'm probably in the top 1% of the average streamer age-wise. I don't know because I have no idea what Just Chatting is all about. I wandered into Just Chatting once and I thought, I don't know if I'm ever going to go back there. That is a crazy place. So, yeah. But I'll go for about 2 hours. All right? 2 hours, 2.5 hours. After that, I start to think, I got other things I need to be doing. Right? Like yesterday I did 3 hours and 15 minutes, and at the end of it, I was kind of a zombie. I do not have the inclination to go any longer than that. And when I was younger, I know I could have done it. No problem. But your focus changes and your stamina for things like that changes.
I definitely I'm 29 now, and I'm obviously I'm not old, but like there's like some very real life realities coming up. Like I have a son who's going to be coming next month, so I have to
congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. I'm excited. But yeah, so going to streaming, it's like, how much, like, come on, like how often can I realistically sit down for 6 hours a day and just like not help the wife out with the kids?
With a newborn?
Right.
Would you like an answer to that question right now?
Yeah, go.
Don't get attached to your stream, brother. Not if you want.
I'm not. I'm thinking about taking like a couple of weeks off when the kid's first born, and I'm just gonna focus on YouTube. So that, like I said earlier, it's like way more flexible, right? Like I can record for an hour here, an hour there.
Yeah.
Spend time with the kid. A couple hours, spend time with the kid. Like that's. With streaming, it's like, shit. What am I gonna do?
I'm going to make a prediction here. First of all, you're not going to go anywhere, obviously. You're still going to be a streamer. You're still going to make your content.
Right.
It's going to be awesome. And your content is going to be similar to what you're making now. And I'm sure you have friends who have kids who've already relayed some of their war stories to you. You must have 1 or 2, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you're not going to sleep a lot in the first few months. It's just not going to happen. So...
Great.
Yeah, so I'm sure you've already been told, get your sleep now. It'll be okay, but I would bank some extra content now if I could. It's you're gonna walk around like, what the, what, who, what? Yeah, it's like, what's up, Andrew? We have a kid. It's like, oh, dude, don't worry about it. I totally got you. Yeah, no.
I'm probably gonna take, like, when kid comes around, I'm definitely going to take mentally, I'm going to say, like, okay, I don't have to stream for 2 weeks, but, like, if I need more time, I mean, maybe I just won't stream anymore, but, like, like, realistically, I got to do what's right for the kid. If I had to pick between YouTube and Twitch, I would pick YouTube, you know what I mean?
Well, you'll still be able to stream. I am confident that you're still going to be able to stream. I just don't think you're going to get 4 to 6 hours in a row every time you stream, I think that is maybe less likely, unless you have a relative that you want to have move in with you. And then,
her mom is coming. My wife's mom is living with us for the first 3 months, which will be nice.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. Are you kidding? All right.
So it's going to help. But I still want to be there and help.
Sure.
So,
I will say this. I am, look, I'm an actor. I was in touch with my emotions before I had kids. But after having kids, they got a little closer to the surface. You just feel things a bit deeper now. You got more stake in the game now.
Yeah, I always have people in my chat wondering, oh my God, Candy, are you gonna keep doing YouTube and stuff once the kid's born? I'm like, well, okay, like, first of all, duh. And the second, like, how the fuck else is the kid gonna
Yeah.
feed it? Like, if the kid's not gonna feed itself, I mean,
right.
The bills aren't gonna pay itself either, so.
Yeah, they're not delivering diapers to my door for free. So, yeah.
Huggies, you want to sponsor me? That'd be nice.
I can get you a steady stream of Apex water at cost. So.
Apex water, pickle jar. That's what I got.
You got
if it's moonshine, but it's not. It's water.
Yeah, Kandyrew done got himself a still in his basement. He's pumping out 180 proof.
Yeah. Fun fact: stream and YouTube channel. No one's ever seen me sober. That's the twist.
Yeah.
That's the plot twist.
Kandyrews changing his gamer tag to White Lightning. Like some people, not everybody, but I'm a little bit precious with where I live. Like everybody knows I live in LA, but I don't get any more specific than that. Do people know what city you game out of, or do you keep that close to the vest?
I keep that shit airtight, or I try to do anyways. I mean, I live in Jersey and I'm close to New York. Okay. But there's like a billion towns. Like the towns of New Jersey are really small, so it's like I think safety is really important. And like I live in a condo, so it's like it's pretty safe. You hear horror stories of like the doc, his house getting shot up and stuff, which is terrible, or God forbid swatting or something,
Yeah, I didn't hear about that. Well, I mean, I don't know the streaming world as well as you, but there was a streamer who got his house shot up.
Yeah, so Dr. Disrespect.
Disrespect. Okay, yeah.
Right, so like I want to say a few years back, like he was streaming and like someone came out of the house and shot twice through a window upstairs, and it went through and it hit the bathroom wall or something. So like someone could have gotten hurt, and he has a daughter living there.
Okay.
A young kid, so like he was very upset. Yeah, that's just not cool.
Yeah, like I've never watched his stream. I know he does not put out the warmest, friendliest vibe, but that's kind of what he does. He's a character. It's clear he's playing a character, but people, like I said, I've come across a couple of trolls. There are people that just live in their own little strange bubble, and I don't think the world gets in.
Just a lot of interesting folks. Interesting folks out there.
I have a couple of friends who've done pretty well in on camera, and I have a friend who was on a soap opera when he was a kid. And he told me the fan mail he got, these are people that would sit around the agency where I'm a client, and a lot of them are voice actors, but they are also on camera. One guy played a serial killer in a movie that came out in like 1980, 81. He said based on playing that character, he got 800 marriage proposals in the mail.
Really?
This was back in the days when there was no email. People sat down and wrote a letter, put a stamp on it, dropped it off in the mailbox.
Very intentional.
It wasn't like I'm at the bus stop and I'm just bored and like, I want to marry you. No, they thought about this. They probably corrected their spelling, started another draft, and they mailed it to him. And another guy was on a soap as a kid, and he said there was one person that was a regular watcher of the soap, and they sent me a piece of fan mail saying, hey, I don't know if you realize this, but you're being watched every day by millions of people, and they can see into your life. So they, in other words, thought that his character was a real person, and that they thought they were watching the Truman Show before the Truman Show came along. They thought that they were being monitored through the TVs.
Honestly, I don't know. Everyone's talking about being famous and stuff. But if I got to pick between being wealthy or famous, I would pick wealthy every single time. Yeah. Even if I could be wealthy and famous, I'm like, I wouldn't want to be famous. Just wealthy is good.
When I got into the business, I wanted to be famous. When I started as a stand-up comic. And so I thought, no, I want to be famous. I want everyone to know me. I want to get all the nice treatment at hotels and restaurants and in airports. And as I got older, I thought, I think money. Would be just fine. I got a few friends that were famous, and I achieved a certain level of recognition that, like in the voiceover world, I have what I call selective fame. If I go to a con, if I go to certain places where I'm known, great. You know, you get the glad hand from a few people. That's great. That's all I need. I don't need to walk down the street and get hassled.
No. Good.
I've seen paparazzi camped out in front of apartments and houses before.
Ugh.
And and then you see this sort of just phalanx of cars come out, and they're just blocking. So this person, can just go out somewhere.
I haven't been. So obviously I'm not really that famous. Like I wouldn't really even consider myself famous, but like I have been recognized a few times in public, which is kind of wild.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, I don't go out that much, but I'm sure if I went out more, I'd be recognized more. But like, the last time I was at the mall, which is like last year, I think it was like a while ago. Last few times I got recognized by a young fan at Shake Shack, and that was kind of a cool experience. He came up to me and was like, "Oh my God, are you really Kandyrew?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude," and like we kind of talked and like took a picture together. So that was kind of cool. It happened like last summer, August? I don't remember.
Okay.
Like last year, a while ago.
Right.
And then the other time was EA had flown us out to like check out season 3 for Apex, and on the flight back, I was walking down the aisle of the plane, and some like Asian guy was like waving me down, and I thought it was someone from the event, and I waved back. He was like, "Oh man, I watch you every day. You're awesome." So like, I guess those moments are kind of cool. Like, you know, like it's always kind of neat to see that you have like an effect on people's lives, and you know,
99.9% of it is very, very positive. Like I've done a handful of Comic-Cons in San Diego, and everybody's always super cool. I mean, they're there to cheer you on. They're there specifically because they want to be there. In person, I don't get recognized. I live in an area where that generally just doesn't happen. There are a lot of very famous people around, and so they just sort of they soak all of that attention. They suck all the oxygen out, and I am fine with that. I'll just put my head down and go right on over to the supermarket and get my food and be cool with that. Even Jim Carrey said, "I wish everybody could be rich and famous so they would see that it does not solve any of your problems."
You might create new ones, honestly, if you're not have your head on straight.
Yeah, actually, I have seen it happen with a couple of people that sort of they hit a certain level of fame. Like I was not friends with somebody, but I was friendly with them. Like a buddy of mine was good friends with them. I hung out with them a few times, and enough to where we could joke and talk, and they'd seen some of my stand-up and all that. And they'd already worked a little bit in movies. And then they booked the part that every young actor in Hollywood kind of wanted. And I talked to them right before it all blew up. And that was the last time I saw them. I think I saw them one other time, and they came to one of my shows, and I had a brief chat with them, and that was it. Now it's just magazine covers for them. And I read articles about how at first they kind of had a problem with that level of attention. And they've found their way now. And this was a guy who was smart and pretty much had his head on straight already.
I think being recognized in a community is nice, but like I don't think I'm nearly that level of fame or anything. So it's kind of manageable right now, right? Like you're not getting recognized in game, which is kind of cool. People are always chill, and supportive. So it's kind of like contained to like this subculture, subgenre of video game FPS battle. You know, there's so many levels to it that I think I'm still pretty contained. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you game on PC, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now see, in Xbox, I have messages. So, because I'm part of this Xbox Live ecosystem where you have messages and invites and parties and things like that. So my message queue is always full. For the most part, I don't think I've ever seen a negative message come from someone.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, well, I think they're coming now that I've said something. It's like, oh, well, okay, fuck you. I've been meaning to tell you. You know, I figure at some point I'll get one of those. But do you have like a message inbox? I don't know how it works with PC.
I get a lot of friend requests, but no,
Yeah.
I try to seal myself off like really good.
Okay.
Like on Twitter, like, you know, if I don't know you, it goes to the message request folder.
Okay.
I don't really check my Twitter DMs. I mean, like obviously I have my comments, which are generally pretty good, but I think as guys, at least for me, anyways, I feel like for girls they can get like a lot worse.
Yeah, I think we've
With, like stalkers and shit. Like that's just weird. So I'm grateful that I don't have that. No, I mean like on PC, like it's pretty insulated. Like I can't accept any message requests from people on Origin or anything. So it is important to have like boundaries with your fans. You know what I mean? It's not like saying like I'm better than my fan. Or no, it's nothing like that. It's just like I think at the end of the day we're all still human, and for me anyways, like I can really only have like a social circle of X amount of people before it gets kind of weird. So like if theoretically I was to become friends with all my fans, I think I'd be kind of worn out pretty thin. So that's something I'm kind of learning too. It's like on streams, like I'm beginning a lot more of like, let's just say like younger audience members that are like, you know, like don't understand like social boundaries and cues of like when to stop asking a question, what's not okay to ask, what is okay to ask. So I've been kind of like been a bit more proactive about like kind of just been like, hey, that's kind of rude to ask, or like, hey, look, like I'm not really interested in doing this, whatever you're asking me to do. I don't know you, I can't really play with you, you know, that kind of thing. I don't know, I just think it's kind of important, just for my own mental sanity to kind of be able to kind of put that up. Because it gets kind of exhausting, really.
I don't have the same volume that you do, but I was already kind of ready for some of it just based on some of the fan mail I get as a voice actor. And fan mail has slowed down because people don't write letters anymore.
Yeah, I was going to say, how many people read and write letters?
I find that a lot of them find me through YouTube. They'll see that I have videos up, and they'll just slide into the comments. And they get to say the same thing. So
right, that's like fan mail, basically.
I don't want to turn the comments off. I want people to be free to say whatever they want to say. Right. So usually if somebody is trolling, the rest of the comment section comes after them. So it tends to police itself.
Sometimes I like to do. Sometimes I like to be extra evil, and like if someone says some really stupid shit that's like really dumb and like toxic, I'll like heart their comment. So like their comment goes like the top of the comment section.
Oh really?
Not pin it, but like I think a lot of times it filters by like like it organizes it by what the creator hearting a comment or whatever. Anyways, so like that usually like gives them a bit more visibility. I'm like I don't feel like answering this, but I'll let other people answer for me, and it's just great.
I had that happen on Reddit. The way I came by it was fairly innocent. I got an Xbox for my kid, and they played games sometimes. And my brother said, "You really should play this game. It's fun." And he said, "Yeah, I don't play your character, but the game is still fun." And I said, "Okay, yeah." He says, "Yeah, I like to play Mirage, but
your character's like the most popular one, though."
I have no idea how among the characters who the most popular. I thought
yours is definitely.
Yeah, I thought Wraith was like the most popular, but
yeah, it's between Wraith and Pathfinder.
Okay,
I'd say.
I appreciate that, hearing about that, but he said try and play, and I was awful, but I thought it's really kind of funny that I can capture a few minutes of video on my Xbox and make a funny video. Here's the voice of Pathfinder, and he's awful, and I put it on Reddit. And I started doing this regularly on Reddit. And I found that occasionally somebody would just hate that I did it. They hate
Reddit.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of done with Reddit because I peaked. And then now when I put up something on Reddit, people just kind of don't give a shit. But I noticed that the upvotes on, if somebody put out like a really toxic comment, I would look to see how many negative downvotes it would get. And sometimes, sometimes as bad as what a person would say would be, what the fans of the video would say back to them would almost be worse. I mean, I would see these little skirmishes, break out. And I thought...
No, thanks. Reddit never really worked out for I think Reddit's a great resource to, like, read.
Yeah.
That's the name Reddit. But, like, as far as, like, trying to, like, post stuff to, like, benefit the community, forget it. Like, it's...
Yeah,
thanks.
I think for me, it's like you. It's Twitch and YouTube, and I just bounce back and forth.
Right.
Has it always been sort of, I do this week to week, month to month, or do you have sort of a 1 year, 5 year, long range plan for yourself as far as your content?
Well, it was only like till like really recently that I started making like an income where like I'm really really proud of. You know what I mean? Like I would say like I started making all my old. So basically, I quit my last job last about a year ago, actually, exactly last March, and it took like a good 6 months before I was able to like make that amount back. You know what I mean? So it was like really, honestly, relatively well. Yeah, it was like pretty recent that I started making like double, then triple. You know, at this point, maybe even quadruple. You know, like, but the thing is like it's really hard to tell what your earnings is gonna be. Like, I can't tell you like, hey, I'm gonna earn X amount of dollars in a year. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
it's not salary. It's like a lot of things can change. Like maybe if I don't get a lot of sponsorships this particular quarter, or I don't know, what if ad rates really tank for whatever reason, you know? So it kind of fluctuates a lot. So I guess for me, like YouTube is a career, and I think Twitch streaming is a career, but like, can I conceivably see myself doing this exact content until I'm fucking 45? Like, I don't know, probably not. So like, I think in the back of my head, it's like I really want to ride this wave as much as I can, and hopefully earn enough to like start, like, you know, like maybe. Well, I was thinking about like buying property, but like after renting property and actually buying some, I realized how much of a hassle it is. So maybe like, you know, start investing in certain things and kind of just and doing that kind of thing. But and again, I guess maybe if, you know, I don't always, I probably won't be doing Apex Legends forever, but I'm sure there's always another game or type of content I'll jump into. Maybe one day I'll do vlogs, you know, and figure out how to explode in that, you know what I mean? Or figure out like maybe there'll be another big game coming out in a couple of years that I might hop over to. We'll kind of see. I mean, I think this whole landscape in general is pretty new if you think about it. Like YouTube came out in 2005 or 2006, something like that. So it's really only been 15 years, and like I don't know. I just feel like it's still a little too early. We haven't seen anyone who's like super old still doing, you know, like since the beginning when they're like really young and they've been doing it all their life kind of thing. We haven't seen that yet. So I'm kind of curious to see what the next 5-10 years is going to look like for a lot of these YouTube people who are making content.
I mean, what you're basically talking about is the idea of pivoting. So you do this for a while, perhaps the momentum is slowing, or perhaps your passion for it slows. It's time to pivot and maybe slingshot into something new. It will be based on, and it's a cliche, but it is true, a brand. Everyone out there who creates content has to establish a brand, something that people who consume their content can regularly depend on getting. For you, they know it's going to be gameplay and it's going to be pretty chill. It's going to be fun. It's going to be from your POV. How do you pivot if you decide to pivot from that? Well, you're still Kandyrew. It's like, all right, here's my take on a completely different phenomena that's happening.
Yeah, and I think that's a big reason why, like, I don't know. So when I started making videos back in 2015, like I kind of set out with this mindset of like, hey, I kind of want to figure out how YouTubers grow. Like what makes a video explode? There must be some sort of science to it, right? Like I guess based on my background, that's kind of like the way I thought of it. So I started like making like video guide. Like I would Google like how to grow on YouTube, and a lot of the stuff that comes up is like SEO, which is search engine optimization, like keywords, and like figuring out stuff that's searchable. And so I ended up doing like a lot of guide content, like a lot of how-to stuff, which I think is great in the beginning for like initial traffic, but I think it can also be a trap for a lot of creators. So like about like a year or two into it, I was like, I don't feel like making, you know, another 20 tips on how to play Pathfinder again, or whatever it was, you know, like I don't really care about this shit. Most people are probably better than me at this point. You know, the game has been out for a while. I'm not talking about Apex, just like whatever game I was playing at the time years ago, right? I started noticing this pattern where it was like, if I make only guide content, people only come back for the information. You know what I mean? So I always wanted to be more of like a personality, more of like someone who could just put up a gameplay video that's entertaining and kind of like be an entertainer rather than someone who just like spits out, you know, top 10 tips for playing FPS games. You know what I mean? Because like
number 6 will shock you.
Number 6 will shock you. Like no one gives a shit about me when I was doing that. Like no one cares about the voice speaking, the person behind all that. They only care about the information. And God forbid if I post a video that isn't interesting to them, they wouldn't even watch it, right? But I figured if I can position my personality, whatever little there is, to be appealing to people, then maybe they can come back when they see a Kandyrew video or my face on a thumbnail. Then they'll come back for the times and the personality rather than, oh, am I interested in learning about how to, I don't know, to do whatever in X game. You know what I mean? So I hear this a lot. It's like, I mean, to this day, I have YouTubers coming up to me. They're like, like, how do you do gameplay content? Like, I really don't want to do news and guides anymore. And I kind of have to walk, tell them it's like a long journey because it's like really hard to do. Because making guides and making tips and tricks videos is like really, really easy to grow off of because it's like searchable, like it's you can game it with the algorithm. But like in the long run, I think it hurts you because it's like after 6 months to a year, people don't give a shit about basic tips on how to play Apex Legends anymore, right?
Yeah, I would say your brand would have to be the guy who knows. And so if you trust
the guy who knows
exactly more, that you would have to be sort of the go-to for everything. And so how do you, I mean, your continuing education would be a monster. So yeah, they stop coming to you because, oh, well, I found a guy who knows better. So
yeah, they can watch Asu, they can watch Imperial Hell, or any of those pro play like usually with guides and news channels on YouTube, there's usually just one, maybe two per game. Like in Overwatch, I would say it's your Overwatch. Those guys have been killing it since day one as far as like the guides and tips. But in general, like I think it's better in the long run. And for me personally, I have more of like a mental sanity to like entertain people and not have to worry about like, oh shit, how am I going to think of the next tips and tricks video or whatever.
I've paid attention to the videos that I've been putting out that have to do with Apex and the way people respond to them. And, the ones where I'm just playing in the stream and I'm doing a voice here and there, those get about the kind of views I would predict. They get, like 25 to 50% of my sub count is around where they get, at least in the first couple of weeks. Down the line, they get more. So people appreciate them, but they don't have a huge splash. The videos that I make that have the biggest splash and to get the biggest viewer count on Twitch is when I interview somebody and when I squad up with somebody. So like I squatted up with Roger and my numbers were, they were on a par with your numbers. And I think part of it was because I got rated by bigger streamers. They like, hey, we've all wanted to see this. So I figured out very quickly, and this was obvious, people don't come to my stream for the gameplay. They come because Pathfinder's playing and because I get interesting people on my stream that I get to talk to that other people are already fans of. My longevity in the streaming and online content world is going to be based on my ability to have someone that everybody knows and likes come and hang out with me for a while and feel comfortable talking, and my ability to get somebody else as part of a game, any game, and squad up with me, and hopefully we have a good time. That means every stream I do that's not that is basically the appeal of it is he might do some Pathfinder stuff. There is a contingency of loyal people who appreciate that I'm a nice guy and that I'm very positive. I've already sort of honed in on the fact that if I'm going to do this, because you're right, it can be a grind. If I'm going to do that, it's going to be focusing on those two aspects. I try to tell people too, the editing is the real grind of it.
Oof.
That people think, oh, you play the game and then you go and look at the video and you make a few cuts and then you put it up. It's like, if I'm going to edit these things properly to where they're really entertaining, that's hours.
I think that is, that'll come with time. You definitely get faster with it over time. I think that's one of the fallacies with people who want to get into content creation in general, and they say, oh, I want to be a Twitch streamer. My instinct is that they're just saying that because it seems easier to just kind of like set up and switch shit on and just play a video game and be popular, right? Or I think if they invested themselves into learning how to edit, learning how to make thumbnails and stuff, I think that's a really useful skill too that I think they shouldn't count out as far as like building up a YouTube channel as well. If God forbid, if my channel just gets deleted one day, or if my Twitch stream gets banned or something for whatever reason, like I can still walk away from that and be like, okay, I know how to work Photoshop, I know how to edit on Premiere. I know all about setting up a stream and how to work a microphone, and I know how to build a channel. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think my advice for a lot of people who want to get into content creation is like, don't just think I'm just gonna grind 10 hours a day streaming, playing a video game on Twitch, and I'll grow. Because I know people who have done like years of their life into doing that and had nothing to show for it. That's scary.
Right.
That's like terrifying to me. I don't know. I just think it's terrifying to have that sort of reality check.
My uncle, my wise uncle, used to tell me, think smart. If you're going to be thinking anyway, then you need to think a little smarter, which means you need to work smart, which means you need to figure out how to get from A to B in half the time it might take other people. You're going to make mistakes, learn from them. So if you're streaming and nobody's catching on, how much time do you give it before maybe you get some feedback? After a while, you know, a lot of people think, oh, well, you gave up. No, sometimes you realize one avenue is fruitless. Start down a different avenue. And it's not failure. It's simply learning.
Yeah, I think a lot of trap people get into is like they just do the same shit over. I mean, I did this shit too. It's like you get stuck in this rut where you just do the same thing over and over again because it feels creatively stable. You know what I mean? Like, I think as a creative, like you're afraid to try out new stuff. Because, you know, what if your fans don't like it? What if your numbers are worse? But one of the big things that helped me as someone who kind of brought my channel back, like honestly, the first few months of Apex, it was really hard. Like I was getting like 1,000 views per video, which is really terrible. And I had to get out of this mental space of like being so afraid of trying new shit. So one day I was like, you know what? Fuck it. My views are bad anyways. I'm just gonna try new stuff, even if mentally I think it's gonna fail. I'm just gonna put it out there. It's gonna fail. I'm gonna give it some time to breathe, and maybe the algorithm will pick it up. And it took about like 1 or 2 months before I saw any major movement. Realistically, like about 3 weeks until I saw some like movement in my view count. With the newer stuff that I was putting out. So
that was basically a pivot. So you decided making it this way doesn't work. What did you do differently?
Wow, so I went on this huge tangent. So basically when I was doing Overwatch, I was trying to do the gameplay stuff, which was working for a time, but then it kind of died and I was getting down to 3,000 to 4,000 views on Overwatch. So any gaming YouTuber would know that like usually if you switch a game, it's going to get even worse views because that's just not what your audience is familiar with, right?
Right.
Yeah, I have an Overwatch audience, dwindling, sure, tiny, sure, but it was still getting me 4 to 5K views per video, which is not great, but it's what I can get. When I switched to Apex, it was only 1,000 to 2,000, which is terrible, which is like even worse, right? So it's like this mental fear of like, oh fuck, like I'm sinking even lower, you know, I'm getting dragged down. So like that's where that fear thing kind of comes in. It can be paralyzing because like I'm just kind of stuck just doing the same shit and not knowing what's happening. Or for a lot of people, they would just go back to doing Overwatch because they'll be like, oh man, Apex just didn't work out. But for me, what I ended up doing was I was like, okay, when we're looking at YouTube, what matters? We're looking at click-through rate, which is how many times the percentage of people who click on your video, which is like your thumbnails needs to be improved, right? Your title, thumbnails, and your watch time. Right? So like how long someone watches your video.
Or would that be retention rate? Or is it more watch time for you?
So I'm not sure what it is now, but I just focused on the raw time. So I was making like 6-minute, 8-minute videos with Overwatch. I was like, what if I just made a 20-minute video? Right? Like, sure, maybe people only watch like 20% of that, but 20% of 20 minutes is okay, hold on. Let's say 30% of that, right? So that's still like 5 to 6 minutes. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
That's still a decent amount of time, as opposed to just like 40% on a 8-minute video. Basically, the math worked out to be like if I just made a longer video, then I can get more people watching. And honestly, it wasn't even a 30% retention. It was like 40 to 50. Right, so
it's pretty good.
Right there, already right there, I'm doubling my watch time. Even if people click off early and hardly, maybe way less people watch till the end, those who watch to the end kind of like dragged that average up a little bit.
Right.
So that definitely helped my channel grow like a lot. And I was scared because I was like, what if people get bored? Like, who the fuck has time to watch a 20-minute video? And truthfully, like, you know, some people don't, but like it was enough people who did, who had enough time to watch a 20-minute video made that difference. You know, that boosted that average watch time up to the point where like my videos getting recommended, around more and kind of like, hit the algorithm the right way. And it was kind of like, sure, like I would only get 1,000 to 2,000 views per video, but I just kind of like just chilled for a second, didn't freak out too much over that failure, and just waited for like 3 weeks, and then like slowly you can check in the real time graph. The real time graph on YouTube is like you can see like a trickle of a bit, like maybe like 50% more views per minute. Like a little bit more, and like it was kind of like embers to a fire, where like those views kind of just grew more and more over time. I started to kind of get a bit more momentum that way with YouTube.
As you made longer videos, the overall watch time went up. And the overall watch time, because I'm still learning these algorithms, as you get a longer watch time per video, the video will sort of tick boxes for the algorithms on YouTube and get it recommended more.
Yeah, because YouTube wants videos that keeps viewers on their website, right? Because they got to serve the ads.
Why would they ever want that, Kandyrew?
So if you think about that when you think backwards, you have to think, okay, so basically I have to figure out a way to get people to click on my video. So I started thinking, okay, and instead of just making like random gameplay highlights, I need to come up with a topic, an interesting topic that kind of would be something people didn't know they would want to watch. And then I got to make this topic 20 minutes long. Nowadays, it's like now I have to now I have like 30 minutes worth of video that I have to trim down, or 40 minutes, so it's like the reverse now. But like, so my line of thinking was like, okay, I can get people through the door with an interesting topic, an interesting thumbnail, and if I can just like literally increase the raw amount of time my videos can go for, not 8 minutes, not 10 minutes, not even like 15 minutes, but say 20, 25, then maybe the average viewer, sure, maybe a lot of them only watch for 2 minutes or 5 minutes, but like maybe there's some that watch for 15 or 17 or 20, like you're giving people that opportunity to even watch that long. So that, I don't know, that's the way I thought of it. Maybe it's completely wrong now, but like it's just what worked for me at the time.
Whenever I'm setting out to achieve something and I have a goal, I start with where I want to end, and I work backwards. So if I want to end up with, say, your level of engagement on YouTube, followers or subs, and that's the thing. Subs on YouTube are basically followers on Twitch. Right. So it's free to do, and you get notified when you're active. So if I want that level of engagement, I have to make the videos that draw the people in. How do I do that? Well, the content is not as much of a problem because every week I usually try and have some sort of event, whether it's an interview, a squad up. I have learned slowly that I almost have to be counterintuitive. There are so many ways to learn how to do something that appears to be simple, but there's so many complicated algorithms,
Yeah. I definitely agree with that, man. It's just one of those things where it took me years to figure this out. A lot of it was me holding myself back because I feel like if I had kind of the courage or the guts to kind of like try new shit earlier, I probably would be here faster, right? But maybe that's just like one of those life things. We just kind of.
If I can go old man on you, I do that a lot. Where do you think this cap comes from? This is my old man cap, but. That's exactly the way you're supposed to feel when you figure it out. And you go back and you go, oh, if only I had seen this. Like, yeah, but you didn't, and that's why you see it now, because you had to get it wrong first. And the way you look at it, you could be like Thomas Edison and say, I never failed. I just found 10,000 ways not to do something. And then I got it right. So believe me, my stand-up career, I look back on and say, oh, if only I had tried this or done that. I look back and say, I'm glad I didn't do any of that stuff, because if it had gotten me fame, then I would be a comic who has to tour a lot in order to keep that going. And I have a family. I don't like to leave them. I like to be exactly where I am, doing exactly what I want. So all of those quote unquote mistakes were simply points where I learned. And that's what you've done. I mean, people would give their left arm to have the level of engagement you have right now, and they would have no problem with, quote unquote, making your mistakes to get there.
Right.
So
Yeah. I mean, I remember for the longest time I would look at YouTubers that are like my size now. I'm like, fuck, man, what are they doing? That's just so special. You know, I couldn't figure it out. You
yeah,
know, I don't know. It's just funny how I remember I used to think like, oh man, if I could just get 100,000 views
yeah,
per video, I'm
yeah,
good. I'm
yeah,
set. But now it's like, it's 200,000 is now the number.
yep,
Next it'll be 400,000 or whatever. So it's like the goalpost always keeps moving. But
yeah.
I don't know. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying doing this as a living. I am. I want to say I am very lucky, and I think I am. But I also have put a lot of work into this too. Like people look at the results and they're like, oh man, like especially a lot of these hate comments. They're like, oh man, like these YouTubers, making so much money just playing video games. I'm like, you weren't here when I would be waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning, walking through the frigid, cold New York weather to get to work just so I can come home earlier to grind on my YouTube channel. Like you didn't,
Right.
You weren't with me through those years of like really, really hard work. And honestly, it's like I said, it's only really until recently that I started making like a decent living for myself. I feel, you know what I mean?
Well, people see 1%. When I would do stand-up, people would tell me after the show, oh man, it looks like so much fun what you guys do. It must be so much fun to be a comic for a living. They didn't see me having to sit and write the jokes and have them fail a few times before they worked. They didn't see me have to call up the booker and try to get booked for the gig. They didn't see me spend my own money to get to the gig. They didn't see me have to deal with hecklers. They didn't see me have to deal with the gig getting canceled after I drove 8 hours to get there. They see the 1% and they don't see the 99. And the reason why they don't do it is because the 99% scares the shit out of them. And so
it's hard. It's not easy. Sure, we're not laying bricks. We're not out there doing construction, but like it's not easy getting to where we're at. So that's why I don't know. That's why I'll never like shit talk another creator because like I don't know. I feel like after going through it myself, I've kind of have a respect for a lot of creators because I know they too must have had stories like mine where they've taken on like really shitty jobs to like do this at the same time, and I know they probably had the mental fortitude to be able to overcome the thought of giving up or whatever, or they have the introspection to be able to learn from their mistakes and be honest with themselves and be like, hey, this shit ain't working. I'm going to be honest with myself. What can I do to change? Because a lot of people, I don't think have that. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people just be like, oh, it didn't work. It didn't work out for me. I don't know what else to do. And they give up. So that's why, I mean, I don't say I'll never shit talk a creator, but like so far I haven't like, I can never really critique another creator because I feel like at the end of the day, we all worked really hard to get here. Maybe there's like 1% out there who didn't, but like, generally, most of us are professionals, and we've all, put in our hours.
Yeah, I've seen it happen in stand-up. There was somebody that started around the same time that my friends and I started back in Florida. And I was a little bit older, and I was a little bit beyond where they were when they started. But we could all see that this person was going to get huge, and that's exactly what happened. They passed everybody like we were standing still. And they basically got famous and are still pretty well known. And the one thing I could see that they did, I mean, they knew how to package what they did very, very well. But also, I think they had a business degree too. And I'm not giving away who it is. That's why I'm playing the pronoun game. They understood exactly how to get from A to B in half the time. And I wouldn't say that they're necessarily more talented than a lot of other famous comics. I just say that they're very, very smart about what they wanted, and they were extremely disciplined. And whenever there were failures and setbacks, they just sort of shrugged it off and kept going and did not stop them. And so, I don't know if they're happier now that they're rich and famous than they might have been before. I can't climb in their head. But what they wanted was money and fame, and they got it. And they were single-mindedly determined to get there.
I think that's something really admirable. I don't know. I think that's something really, really admirable in people who have that sort of laser focus and stuff. Kind of make something out of their lives. I don't know. I feel like in today's society, there's a lot of like, okay, maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm generalizing here a bit, but I feel like people have I mean, in general, have this bias towards like people who are big. You know what I mean? Like people generally tend to like side with like the underdog or like the downtrodden people. But I see a lot of comments kind of like call maybe not even just YouTubers or streamers, or a lot of times YouTubers and streamers, but like just kind of successful people like sellouts or you know, like I don't know, fake or whatever. But like I don't know, like I a lot of times I kind of disagree with that, because I'm just like, you know, like these people who worked to where they got, like they went through a lot of shit that half of us don't even know about. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Like I said, people see they see the 1%.
Yeah.
They don't see the whole thing. They don't see the whole thing. It's okay.
No.
Now, thanks to your words, they see that what you have didn't just drop into your lap.
No.
For
some people it does. That's really lucky, but for me it didn't. I had to learn the hard way.
I don't know of very many people who got fame and fortune by having it drop in their lap and then they sustained it. Because if the habits and the disciplines that you have to have in order to achieve a certain level of success are not present in somebody who has it bestowed upon them, then they're not likely to keep it, because they won't know what it takes to have gotten there organically. I suppose if you're a member of the royal family and you're born into it, you can be the world's biggest idiot. You know, it won't matter.
Well, I think that's the 0.01% of exceptions, right? But
exactly. Like
it's sort of the lottery, right? Like people who, you hear these stories of people losing their money really fast.
Yeah.
You know,
a wise friend taught me that people tend to want easy. They want the easy path. And the people who are able to marshal their discipline and their focus together will get where they want to get. So, yeah, you started from a place of 0 followers, 0 subs, 0 content, and you manufactured the success you have now based on discipline, hard work, focus, learning from mistakes.
Yeah, that I've learned. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of grateful. Like, yes, it did suck to grind all those years and to make all those mistakes, but like I am grateful for all those experiences, because I feel like I've learned something.
Yeah,
and I'm not afraid. I mean, I still am a little bit afraid of like losing everything, but like I wouldn't be paralyzed and like not know what to do. It reminds me of a story that my mentor, who lived on that high-end resort, there's a bunch of like random famous or like just random people living there with houses, right? And so like, just like random like this guy invented the whatever, and like you're like, he invented that? Like it's like some daily household item that everyone uses or something. So we were driving past this house and he pointed me up to this hill, this giant mansion up top, and he told me about this guy. We'll call him Bob. So Bob's grandfather like invented a piece. I don't want to say because I feel like it will give it away, but it's like
he invented a widget that everybody uses.
Used everywhere.
Okay.
Like, everywhere.
Okay.
This widget's used. His grandfather did.
Okay.
And so he inherited a lot of this wealth. And I've never been in Bob's house, but my mentor has. And my mentor is like, dude, whenever I go in there, it's like, the house is beautiful. It's like you know, multi-million-dollar house, but the inside is like has like fold-up plastic chairs, just like random, like, you know, like nothing permanent. Everything's like really cheap. Like the table is like a foldable table. You know, it's like, you know, this person is like living in fear of losing his money. You know,
okay.
I mean? It's like, it's really interesting because he doesn't spend anything on anything because he's living in fear of not being able to make it on his own. I don't know if it's true or not, if he's actually living in fear, but I think it's a kind of an interesting take on how the person was living.
Well, I think the lesson in there is that, and you're about to introduce another human being into the world, is you're successful. I believe you're going to continue to be successful and probably more so. So I am already encountering this with my children. I could, you know, whenever I pass away, hopefully it's in another 50 years, I'd like to see 100 or more. Right. But whatever it is I leave to the kids, I don't want to just leave them assets. I want to leave them with a skill set to get through life successfully, and not just with money, but how to handle fear, how to handle setbacks, how to handle when you're not connecting with another person, how to recognize what you love and go after it, how to manage money. You know, like my son has already learned about money because he's worked a few voiceover jobs and he gets paid, and I let him keep some. I let him put other money in. So he understands banks and accounts and all that. So what this person who lives in this mansion with plastic chairs was not taught were basic life skills about how to manage assets and how to identify what you want to do, how to do it successfully so you don't jeopardize what's been handed down to you. A lot of old money, what old money does very, very well is educate their offspring and how to maintain your assets. So, you know, you're going to be...
something I'm still learning. You know, I'm only 29, so I'm not going to act like I'm some wise guru that knows everything, you know. I still have lots to learn. I'll probably look back when I'm 35 on what I'm saying now or how I think now is like, wow, like I really didn't know much, but I'm always open to like learning and kind of just like, you know, keeping an open mind. And I'm grateful for everything that I've learned so far in this journey. Again, I'm still early in it, you know, so I'm sure there's a lot more to learn and figure out as the years go on.
Well, you're already way ahead of where I was at 29. Trust me, I was already starting to slowly take backward steps. I was starting to play it too safe. And I had to learn that. It took me about another 5-6 years to start learning that lesson properly. So, and I understand the trepidation to want to try new content. That's what every tryout Tuesday I try a game, and I look at my viewer count just go boo, like that because
that's the worst feeling.
People want Pathfinder and they want Apex and they want to see me do stupid shit as Pathfinder, and then I say we're gonna play this game. I'll get back to you when you're Pathfinder again. And so I thought, okay, fine. I'm left with the people that want to see me do it the way I want to do it, and I'll slowly raise that number. So even amidst the relative success of having a stream that more people are watching, I've got the relative failure, which I don't really like to call it that, but the experiment of taking a section of that audience and getting them to watch the Edge voice, not the voice of Pathfinder. So I'm doing what you were already talking about doing. I'm already trying to figure out how to push that so I can guarantee it.
I think that's super, super important. Like, I think a lot of people focus too much on, you know, oh, I got to be the best player in Apex, or I got to be XYZ rank in Apex. And I'm like, think about, like, it in the big picture. Like, Apex is not going to be, I mean, hopefully it's here for a while, but, like, realistically, it's not going to be here forever. At some point, it's going to go away. And I don't know, I would hope that me being my own channel kind of just survives beyond Apex. And that's kind of why I shifted to more personality stuff. Is like, you know, one day when I switch a game, sure, I'm not going to get, maybe I won't get the same numbers, but instead of, say, 10% of the viewers I used to get, maybe I'll get 60 or 50 or 70, you know, like, as opposed to, like, 15, 10, 15, you know, like 1,000 views on a video, like how I started a year ago, it'd be maybe 100,000, you know, and that'll give me a lot more leverage to work with as with like building a new audience as far as whatever the next thing is.
Well, I will say unsolicited advice, but look into real estate again. Just don't write it off yet. The reason why is because you were renting before, right?
Well, long story, but like me and my wife ended up buying a house, and it was just way too much house for us. Like we bought it, this house we bought, it was this last July, and we're working on selling it now. And like we thought we wanted a house, turns out it was way too much house. So this house, I said house like 15 times. So basically how we bought it was the person who built the place lost it to a private lender because he couldn't get the money from a bank because he just kept missing payments. Anyways, he missed payments with this private lender. Private lender takes the house, and so there's like a lot of shit that like we got the inspector done, but the inspector didn't catch shit. So like the first thing that came up was like, okay, cool, we got like a swarm of carpenter ants inside our house. Great. You know, and next thing we found it was like mud tubes in the garage. Okay, what are mud tubes? Oh, those are termites. Awesome. You know, so like, and then we're like, okay, hold up, what's going on? Like, why is there so many insects? Oh wait, the sump pump, because of where we're living, it's like there's a spring underneath like the entire neighborhood, like the entire area. So like the sump pump would like break and like flood the garage. And so we found out like it's because like the pump wasn't wired correct. Like it was being routed to like the sewage system, which is technically illegal, but it was done by the last tenant. And so we had to like pay someone, and that line was like collapsed. So it was like burning out the pump. So basically we had to spend like 11-12 grand on like getting this garage like fucking waterproofed. And then, like, you know, other things, like the AC broke, and the furnace broke, and then, like, the windows was leaking, and, like, we spent so much money on this goddamn house, then we're like, me and my wife were like, okay, like, maybe we should just, like, well, it was really more my wife's idea. She was like, okay, I don't want us to, like, be paying, like, for random shit that comes up randomly. Like, sure, we can afford it, but, like, we really want to be spending half our money
right
at like this age on fixing house stuff. And it's like not even planned expenses. It's like one day it's 45 degrees indoors, you know. It's like those kind of expenses that you're not even ready for. So that's, I don't know, so that's why we moved back into a condo. We're working on selling the house. That's what's happening.
I totally understand, but overall, averaging it out, and after the pain and hardship and headache you've been through with that house, totally understand if you're turned off from buying because you got a lemon. You got something that were just, every kind of thing went wrong. But overall, I bought 2 investment properties in Texas years ago. And because I couldn't afford to buy in LA, I mean, I could afford to buy maybe one little condo in LA, and I was still renting for a really good price, but I had money saved. I bought 2 investment properties. And the funny thing is that one of the tenants we got in was a complete idiot. Just
that's another thing.
Yeah,
tenants. People are trash.
Reckless, irresponsible tenant, and they just trashed the place. But luckily, I got that under control, and I did this from afar. I was halfway across the country. But what I learned was get a good property management company that will get the right tenant in to begin with. If you have family, put family in there and let them rent from you. So they're paying your mortgage and you're getting maybe even a little bit of extra for it. And you will slowly see the equity in that house go up. And over time, you'll realize if I had continued to rent, I would be this much behind investment-wise. Now, of course,
I think you're right. I think for me, is if I was to buy a place, I think I would buy it in like a building, like buy a unit in a building as opposed to a house.
You could do that. The HOA absorbs some of the shock, you know, but then you got to deal with an HOA. You got to go to those meetings. You got to deal with the neighbor that lives there forever and doesn't want anything changed. No, leave it the way it is. That's the way we've always done it. And it's just like your stream. At a certain point, you're going to try something. You don't know if it's going to work. But I have found with property, look, they're not making any more of it. It's a finite resource, and more people rent because they don't have enough to own because their salary doesn't track with inflation. Because look, this is a whole political thing here, but it's harder and harder for people to own. If you're able to own, do it and be a kindly landlord. Be a good landlord that gives people a little break, and they'll be there forever, and they'll take care of the place, and you'll get the equity. So it goes up.
Right.
We'll talk about this off stream. I know. So
I appreciate the sage advice, though.
Well, believe me, look, the house thing left a skid mark on you. I'd feel the exact same way. If I had to go through all that horse shit, I'd say, I'm never owning again. I'm never owning a house again. It's this and that problem.
We found mice in our apartment yesterday. It was interesting. Though my cat, it was dead and it was really wet. So I think my cat like killed it and like licked it. And it was just like in the bedroom, like a tiny little one. I was so proud, dude. I was so freaking proud of my cats. Great. She's never even like killed a live animal, and she just did it out of instinct. I'm like, wow, I didn't see it happen, but
there you go.
I saw the evidence,
All right, so here's one. Candy, what would you like from a third map on Apex? I've talked to some people, and I think Jungle Vibe would be awesome.
Part of me wonders about making too many maps, because I've seen this happen with PUBG, which is PlayerUnknown's PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Yes, and they have it becomes a situation where if you have too many maps, you start to split the player base. Like right now, Apex only has one playable map, but if they start introducing maps and having them all on rotation, at the same time, it's like you're splitting the player base already into 3 different groups, and I worry that if they introduce too many maps, and at some point introduce them all at the same time, that it would split the player base too much. But if they did what they did, if they did like what they did with World's Edge, where it's like, okay, they removed King's Canyon, put in World's Edge, I still feel like people would miss, World's Edge or King's Canyon. People would be like, oh, this new map sucks or whatever, But I don't know. I mean, that's really up to the game devs to do. I don't know if a jungle map will be good, because I feel like a lot of the sweaty try-hard community wouldn't like that too much, because I think visibility is really important. Because I feel like if you get shot from a bush, I'd imagine that'll lead to like some really, really salty players,
Yeah.
People who like don't want to deal with that sort of visual clutter. As far as the third map goes, though, I don't know. I really kind of like World's Edge, man. Like, I like the variety and the different. You have the ice biome, you have the lava, and you have a bit of the open field. You have some mountains. I think it's got like a really good mix. It's got like a lot of urban environments. So I don't know. I don't know how to answer that.
Do you think a larger map would be good to include more, or would that be too much?
Sometimes I feel like World's Edge could support 100 players. I'm really curious to see what a 100-player match would be like. Right now it's only 60, just more people. Yeah, maybe like up the loot drops. I think that'd be really interesting. It'd be like super chaotic. I think it'd be, I don't know. I mean, like, obviously Respawn has all the data. Maybe they've tried that and be like, oh, it doesn't work on this map. But I feel like it'd be kind of cool to have like 100 players drop on World's Edge with the loot table boosted, so it's like there's enough loot to go around, and so just be chaos. Like,
that's
lots of fighting.
I didn't know about the Code Red tournament. What was that tournament for? And I heard you did pretty well in it.
I did pretty good. So Dr. Disrespect, I think it's his tournament, or maybe he's like an investor of the company that ran the tournament. So basically, it's Boom TV. They did this thing called the Code Red tournament, where the doc. He himself played in it with Shroud and I think Beanans, which is Shroud's girlfriend, and they reached out to like 20 or 19 different content creators and they're like, okay, pick one pro and one person to play with, and they all have to be able to stream.
Okay.
So I picked No Cocoa Puffs from CLG because I've always liked the CLGs. The guys in CLGs, like the CLG, they all have like a really positive vibe. They're all really fun.
Right.
They seem like a really fun crowd to be in. And even if we don't win, I feel like we would have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And I've talked to Noko like on stream, just in his chat. I've rated him a few times, vice versa. Like, I wouldn't say like we're like, super close or anything, but I always felt like, I know this guy, like he knows of me. So like I asked him to play, and it was actually a really good time. Did I pull my weight? It was a little hard to keep up with the guys that like played this game for a living.
Right.
They're all really cracked players in that tournament. Noko just really played out of his mind. He did really, really well. I'm not making excuses, but I don't think it helped that I was playing a character that couldn't run away, because that tournament was based off of kills, right? So everyone was playing super aggressive, and I was playing characters like Watson or Gibraltar that didn't really have an escape. So it was a little hard to navigate, but I still had like a really good time. And we ended up getting 4th place, which was 4,400 split 3 ways. That was a good time. It was fine. I mean, it's my first tournament. I kind of liked the format because there wasn't placements. So it was like a lot more exciting to watch. It's kill based, so like people were playing a bit more crazy and a bit more aggressive. I thought it was lots of fun. I would do it again, honestly. It was a good time.
That not funny nerd. An off-topic question. Do you have a favorite TV series or movie? Anything that's just like in your head right now that you can't get enough of?
Yeah. Okay, so TV shows. I really like The Magicians. They're canceling the show, which makes me sad after the season. But that show is like Harry Potter, but with like modern. Like I really like it. I really, really like that show, The Magicians. It's very, it's probably there's one episode that I think is my favorite episode of all like television history. Like it's really beautifully done. A lot of topics they cover are really interesting. Like I think it's really cool. So it's about basically it's like about people who are magicians, and these students are going to school in a magic school. It's kind of like they have different problems and apocalypses that come up that solve it, and go through different worlds and stuff like that, and talk to gods. It's really cool. The Magicians, highly would recommend. The Punisher was also really, really good. That one's on Netflix. I really like that one. Movies, I really have been enjoying space movies. Not like Star Wars space movie. I mean like more like closer to like science fiction, like not science fantasy, but more like Interstellar or like The Martian. I like those kind of space movies a lot. Although I do like Star Wars, though honestly that franchise has kind of ruined itself a little bit for me. I like the MCU a lot too. I mean, like that's probably my favorite movie franchise if you gotta ask me to pick one.
You're talking to someone who grew up with the original trilogy of Star Wars movies, so I guess
Right.
I guess episodes 4 through 6. So
Yes.
I watched the other, like I have not seen the last Star Wars movie, and
The last,
yeah,
it was fine. I
Okay.
feel they did the best they could
okay,
with what happened in episode 8. Episode 8 was really bad. I didn't like it at all. I think they really ruined it there. But they had it. So Ryan Johnson was directing 8. For 9, they brought back J.J. Abrams, and so like J.J. Abrams is trying to kind of so Abrams went this way with like episode 7. Ryan Johnson went this way with 8, and then Abrams had to bring it back. So it was like the changing of directors or writers or whatever. Like I think that messed up a lot of things, and so it really felt like 2 movies in one movie, that last one. But I mean, I still have a good time with Star Wars. I mean, I look at it as what it is. It's entertainment. It's just a movie. It's not like my life or anything. I mean, I have a good time.
yeah. It's hard not to like at least one Marvel movie. I mean, I think people don't appreciate just how hard it is to make one of those movies well. And
Right.
because I grew up with those comics too, I grew up reading Iron Man, Spider-Man, the X-Men, and I know the X-Men are sort of a different part of the MCU, but
Right.
I'd read Avengers, all of that stuff, and there's so many ways you can go wrong with those things, and they don't.
Yeah, I'm really happy with how Marvel turned out.
Kandyrew, we kind of addressed this, but you could clarify it. What are you going to do in the future? Are you still going to play Apex, stop YouTube, just Twitch? Where do you see yourself in the future?
I'm still gonna do Apex. Valorant's right around the corner. I'm curious, but I'm not. I see a lot of people on Twitter. They're like, "Oh, I'm quitting. I'm quitting Apex the minute Valorant comes out." That's Riot's new shooter, and I'm not entirely convinced that Valorant is gonna be for me. But I want to keep an open one eye open, and I want to be open with it. And I want to give it a shot. And if I really like it, then yeah, sure, maybe I'll do more content on that new game. But I think as far as like YouTubing in general and content creation, I think I'm going to be doing it as long as I can. Maybe this could be a little bit of a break with the kid coming along. Maybe there'll be less Twitch streams, but I'm going to try to put up as many YouTube videos as I can, just because, I mean, first of all, that's how the bills get paid. So I'm still going to be around.
Comic Spider 5. What passion do you have other than YouTube or Twitch? What do you do with your time that is still a passion when you're away from YouTube and Twitch? I mean, I know your time's going to get really narrowed a bit, but do you have something you pursue that you wouldn't want to do without?
I don't know. I think YouTube and Twitch has kind of become just what I do. Like, sure, like I'll watch TV shows and stuff with the wife during dinner time and stuff. Like, that's always fun. But like, I can't say like I have the secret hobby of like knitting or something on the side. Like, honestly, like, people always ask me, like, oh, what games do you play besides Apex? I'm like, honestly, not that many, if at all. Like, I just spend, like, a lot of time into this.
It would be funny if you were just knitting a sweater and then the alarm goes off. Oh, okay, Apex time. And then you just jump 5 generations ahead, technologically speaking, and jump into... That would be very zen to do. It's like, okay, I'm putting away the Apex, and now I'm picking up this block of wood and I'm whittling.
Yes.
It would probably, I don't know, it'd probably be pretty good for the soul.
Woodworking, you know, that'd be something.
Fake Saren, question for Candy. Which legend do you play the least and why?
Oh, God. Probably Mirage. I'm sorry. I like Mirage the most personality-wise.
Yeah.
But he's just not good right now. When Apex first came out, he was one of the characters you could just purchase. So I thought that might be my angle in, would be like, I could just be like that one guy who bought Mirage and like got good with him. So I played him quite a bit in Mirage. But like over time, it's just like, he's just so not fun to play, in my opinion. You know, like, I hope they buff him. But it'd be Mirage.
What can they do for Mirage to make it so that maybe he's on a par with Pathfinder?
I don't know. It has to be a lot, man. Like, his kit is just not good. They have to redesign the entire character.
I hope Roger Craig Smith is watching this. This is so directed at him. Because we spent,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
Man. Yeah.
It's not the voice.
The
voice is awesome. Everybody loves the character. It's the tech.
Yes.
It's the playability. Yeah, I know. I love Mirage. Mirage is my plan B. But I'm a shitty player. Somebody cares what I choose. Can you do an impression of any of the the legends?
I can't.
I think people maybe just assume that because I'm streaming that, oh, everybody who streams can do a voice on the game. That
Can you do like impressions of like Gibraltar and stuff?
No, these are like if I may toot my own horn, I'm a really good mimic. That's how I make a lot of my money. But these are very specific voices in this game. These guys were chosen for a reason. These are very specific characters. Just to let you guys know watching at home, it is not easy. I mean, these are very specific voices, and I think they were chosen for that reason, because they're very specific characters. Chat, yes, Scott Malkinson, I am Hedon from Naruto. So chat, pick someone from my IMDb that I can do for Kandyrew. And
one. The first person gets it.
Yeah, first person gets it. The next one I see.
First person gets it. List out a name, someone. List out that name.
Yeah, it has to be one that I actually do. It can't be, do Mirage. Like, no, can't. So, yeah, Yuan off of Cruxus. I think that's from Tales of Symphonia. I'll do Yuan doing Pathfinder lines in a squad with Kandyrew. Okay, so, hey, this is Yuan from Tales of Symphonia. Who's ready to fly on a zip line? I am, with my good buddy Kandyrew. He's my best friend. I love Kandyrew, and I made it awkward. Losing isn't fun. That's why I don't do it. He's got a little Hedon in him. Hedon is just pure evil, so that's the difference.
I love Hedon. He's great.
Yeah, he's the most despicable character I've ever played by far. So there you go. That's
wonderful.
Yeah, and you love him. So good to know.
That's why we keep him around.
Yeah, exactly.